Okay, hi there. We're going to be doing the process speech critiques. Things are going very quickly. A couple of cautions and then some things that are going to cost you dearly in this class from this point on. And they're going to cost you dearly because I have mentioned them a number of times and people are still ignoring them. So the only way I can enforce any kind of rule is to make it so severe that violation so severe that you might get your attention. All right, couple of things right off the top. No one can give any speech on any topic that's already been given. All right, so I don't know what you're going to talk about, but let's say you do something on healthcare. No further topics in any of the remaining speeches can deal with anything related to healthcare. You've got to do something totally different. You can't stay in a comfort zone and keep doing things that are things that you feel comfortable on. You've got to get yourself out of your comfort zone. So if you've done something on immunization, nothing on healthcare at all, period. No question, nothing. Do not stay in the same speech area. Number two, you need to be thinking of your persuasive speech, a topic, because that's your big one, most points available. You need to be thinking about that. If you want to call me and talk to me about that, please do, and I probably can help you do very well on that speech. All right, another thing is public speaker critique. This has got to be a live person, can't be anybody you've watched on television. It's got to be recent. I'll tell you, a lot of students pick the minister at church and talk about that. If you're in a face-to-face class, it can be a teacher, or you can go to a seminar someplace, or if you're at work and you have a trainer that comes by and does a training seminar, use that as the critique. All right. I'm trying to go fast. Outlines. 2 outlines for both speeches, for all the speeches. 2 outlines. Some of you are only sending 1. They are required to be labeled. Preparation outline, speaking outline. If you don't do that on both of the outlines, specifically on the outline, not in the email subject line, in the outline itself, then I will not count it as having fulfilled the requirement of the class. All right, 2 outlines. They must meet the formats required. They must be labeled properly. And in terms of the outlines, only send them from your email address to my email address. Do not post them in Connect. I've said that before. Some of you are still doing it. You do that, I will not look at the outline and I will grade you down for refusing to follow directions. All right, now, sources. You people are giving speeches and you're acting like you're very knowledgeable on things, but you're not acknowledging a source for the information you're giving. Sources are required. Even if it doesn't say in the speech, you need to give a source or use 3 sources. If you're up there and you're talking about the space shuttle program, I pretty well can conclude that you are not an expert on that. You did not deal with that personally, and you've gotten that information from someplace. You must source your information. Camera shot, this shot only, never any other shot. How many times have I said that, and I'm still getting shots where the person's in the North 40, the microphone's on the camera, I can't hear the person, the room noise, the ambient room noise is so loud, and they're so far away that not only can I not see them, I can't understand them. I can hear them, I know they're talking, but I can't understand them. Audience of 6 adults, 16 years of age or older. They must pass in front of the camera. We have said that. They must look at the camera. They must give their name and acknowledge their age. Must do that. They must be shown. Never, but never, once you start your video, never turn off the camera. So if I detect that you've turned off your camera after the audience has been introduced, I'm going to suggest that perhaps you're editing the audience in before or after, and that violates the purpose of this class. Therefore, you're going to fail the speech. I mean, it's got to be that severe. Follow directions. Read the syllabus. Finally, I've got to be able to see and hear you. Make sure there's light on your face. Make sure it's this shot. If you have visuals, send me a copy of the visuals. Don't zoom back to show me the visuals. Also, And just as an example, in terms of topics, if you have talked about baseball, I don't want another topic dealing with sports. So you certainly can't talk about baseball again. You can't talk about baseball. Next speech is going to be on football. The speech after that is going to be on basketball. And the speech after that is going to be on sports equipment. No. Get out of your comfort zone. Must see and hear you. You must have the audience. You must show me the audience. Never turn off the camera. This camera shot, and you must acknowledge sources. All right, let's take a look at some of the speeches, process speeches. This is from Pop-Tart. Pop-Tart, you have no audience introduction. You have the wrong camera shot. You have very distorted audio. It is hard to understand you. I can't see your eyes. Therefore, I can't tell if you got any eye contact. You give no source information for the facts that you're throwing out. And you really kind of manhandled your subject while you were doing the demonstration, and I have no outlines. All right, that's got to be fixed. That's costing you dearly grade-wise. Next up is Snoop. Snoop, nice appearance, good shot. Tighten up just a little bit. Well, tighten up is probably not the right terminology. You have no headroom. So if you'll tilt the camera up a little bit, you will also then get this shot. So make sure there's headroom in the shot. What else? You were much more, and I'm just going to be a comment you're going to hear a lot on this speech. It was much more an informational speech than it was a process speech. A process speech is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's like cooking show. Think in cooking show. There's a progression of events chronologically, and think that way. All right, you need to stand still when you speak. You need to acknowledge your sources. We definitely needed visuals in this speech. Watch your vocalized pauses and watch the tisk. Next up is Hoosier. Nice shot. Good appearance. You turned the camera off during the intros. Your video has a reversed image. I'm checking on that to find out if that's you folks or if that's Connect is doing that. You had a good presentation of your visuals. This was a very well done speech, which is reflected in your grade. Almost perfect. Next up is Heat. Heat, good appearance. Stand still when you're talking. You're standing in front of windows with a lot of light coming in, which makes it hard to see you. The camera is way back there. That's where the microphone is. There's a lot of ambient room noise. You're very hard to understand. And I'm having difficulty understanding you. You keep touching your glasses and your face. Be careful of that when you're giving a speech. There's too much room noise. Your mic is too far away from you to be able to understand you. You only sent one outline, and it was not labeled. Next up is Circle. Circle, nice appearance. Your camera turned off at 45 seconds in after the audience was introduced. Again, I've said you can't do that. You have a very echoey room. It's hard to understand you. Voices are audible in the background. That's a distraction. Only one outline, and that outline was not labeled. Next up is Voto. And Voto, you have a nice shot, good facial expression. Use the term cause, C-U-Z, or C-O-Z for because. Don't do that. Nice conversational style, very well done, and only one outline, not labeled, and it was handwritten. That is not acceptable. Okay, next up is Wildcat. Good shot, very strong opening. You don't want to scratch while you're speaking. Good job with the visuals. This was conversational. It was informative. This was very well done. Good speech. Well done. You need to identify sources for some of the stuff you were talking about. For instance, how does your price compare to the quantity of that product if you purchased it in a store. Make sure, I mean, you clearly established how what you did would take the place of something else. And by the way, very, very good visuals and step-by-step chronologically how you do things. But I was left with, okay, you've established that yours is inexpensive, but inexpensive compared to how much does it cost for, say, a cup of the other stuff. All right, that's what would have been pretty good. This was very, very well done, and it's reflected in the grade you got on the speech. Next up is Gabriel. This is a very nice appearance. You don't want to flip your hair. There we go. We talked about the hair flip. You keep flipping your hair while you're talking. Your speech went way, way too long. It ran 10 minutes and 58 seconds, and that's way out of bounds. You need to read the directions on the speeches. It was way out of sync, several seconds out of sync. The lips are moving. What really tipped it off was somebody would stand up, and the lips would be moving, and they'd be leaving, and I'm still hearing their voice after they left, which shows you how far out of sync it was. There's not enough light on your face. You show no energy. You keep touching your hair or flipping your hair while you're speaking. You are rambling because of the length, and no doubt. Keep the flow moving. You seem to get lost in your own speech. That hair flip is annoying, and you were cut off at the end in mid-sentence. Only one outline. It wasn't labeled. Watch the word like. You use it like too much. Don't do that. Next up is boombox. Boombox, you have the wrong shot. You are in the dark. It's hard to see your face and eyes. Don't bounce while you talk, while you're doing this kind of thing. Stand still. It's like you're standing on your tiptoes and you keep doing this. That is also distracting. Where do you get soda ash? You want to kind of mention that since you're talking about things we need to know. You're reading your speech. The speech screams for visuals, not one visual. Don't run off as you say your last words. Stand there for a second. Let them turn off the camera. Or if they're not turning off the camera and you stood there for a moment, then leave. But don't run off while you're still talking. Slow down. You read too fast, and you are reading it. Where is a sample of the finished product in a process speech? That's almost essential. Your outlines are not labeled. Next up is pants and good facial expression. You have the wrong shot. There's way too much headroom. Slow down a bit. You're using terms that you don't explain. Highlights, developer, lightener, 40 volumes, foiling technique, just terms like, okay, what is all of that? Don't presume the audience has great knowledge. While you were talking, you were not showing the process, making this more informational and not a process speech. So you need to be showing us what you're talking about. That's part of the process. You have color flashes in your video, and there also are sources needed for this speech, and you haven't given me any sources for the speech. Also, only one outline. It was not labeled. And why should a guy care about your topic? Next up is pacers. And pacers, good appearance. You're out of sync, and you are heavily pixelated in your video. The camera turned off after the audience intros. That's not acceptable. We talked about that. Very abrupt ending and only one outline. Next up is Irish. Irish, your great camera shot, very good appearance. Work on the flow a little bit more informational than process in this speech. Stand still. You're moving in and out. You're doing one of these kinds of things, not as bad as I'm doing it. And you have good information, well presented, but what's your source? Also, nice facial expression, good outlines, but neither of them were labeled. Make sure you label your stuff. Next is coffee. This was a speech where you need more light on your face. You have the wrong camera shot. You need more and better lighting. The pick over your, actually what I'm saying is there is more and better lighting on the pictures over your right shoulder. And you talk about our clinic. What clinic? I don't know what you're talking about. Stand still. What is your credibility on this spot? A lot of you need to establish your credibility, and you didn't. Good information. You move around too much. You have a very strange ending. This was more an informational than a process speech. Thanks for listening is not a good ending. Don't say thanks for listening and then leave. All right, good outlines, but good outlines, and they were labeled properly. All right, next up is Danny, D-A-N-Y. Good facial expression, fix the camera shot, stand still, watch the tist. That kind of sound like that. You had an excellent demo with the models. Great job. Just about as good as it can get in terms of a speech. And watch for flow disruptions and fix those. Label your outlines. This was an excellent process speech. Way to go, Danny. All right, next up is Aquaman. And you have an engaging style. You have the wrong camera shot. We need to get more light on your face. Get the same amount of light on your face that's on the wall behind you. That's like you missed getting it on you and got it on the wall. You have a light flashing off and on in your face. It changes for whatever reason. You can see it in the video. You seem to be whispering to us. You lack energy and volume. When you talk to me, don't try to be Mr. Smooth. Talk to me with energy and talk to me with passion. All right, and that's where you got too nice in all of this. The topic, yes, is one that you want people to believe that they can handle, but be careful that you don't oversell yourself with your sweetness. Your body language and voice is right, but you're talking like you're talking to a child and not an adult. A bit more process than informational, but not much. What are your sources for what you're saying? And you're reading off something just below the camera. And finally, Bo, I can't hear all of the audience members. The camera is shooting up. You turned off your camera after the introductions to the audience. There is a very distinct volume difference between the audience and you. Wrong camera shot, stand still. When you speak, you had head bobbing when you're talking, and make sure you don't do that. Stand still. Look at me when you talk. Look at the camera. You made this a very complicated speech. Too many things at once. It was non-linear, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Straight linear speech. That's what a process speech does. This, then this, then this. All right. You had a ball, a stick, teeth, and mask. Make it all come together somehow. You only sent one outline. It was labeled preparation outline, posted in Connect, not sent to me via email. And again, this was not as much a process as it was an informational speech. All right, pay attention to what I told you. Make sure you don't make the same mistakes. Call me in my office if you want to talk about any of this. Call me. We'll talk about it. I can help you, and I can help you do much better on your speeches if you talk to me. All right, we'll see you next time.